Hey, what's up, Will? How you going, man?
What's up, Figsy?
I'm
I
good.
got.
Yourself?
I'm good. I got this random hair on my microphone condom, and it keeps sticking to my lip.
I wonder who that. I wonder where that came from.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
What have you been up to since I seen you last, man?
2 days have gone by. Not much. Uh, this is why the one week, because we do 2 shows a week. I got no pickups. They're all wasted. I gotta scramble for memes because I don't know where. I went to the movies today. We went and saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It was okay, I guess, because my
Nice.
daughter wanted to see it. She fell asleep. I got recognized at the movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to take a piss. I came back out. My girlfriend's like, "Oh, there you are." Yeah. So, but that's
You're
about
that
it.
guy from the podcast who I live with.
What about you, Figs? Anything exciting happened to you in the past couple of days?
Yeah, I've had some mates come round. Andy came round on Friday night, and we we're trying to add some more RAM to my computer, but it wouldn't fit. And then we played some games. We played Gran Turismo 4. Did like Laguna Seca, and yeah, it was a bunch of fun. I smashed him. We
Oh,
played
you
some
mean
FIFA.
you
That
smashed
was
him in the
fun.
game?
FIFA 07. Yeah, in the game, of course.
Okay, good.
And unfortunately, I must admit, Andy won the FIFA.
I don't
And
know.
I played all the time. Went to a
I
penalty shootout, and Andy won. Then another one of my buddies came around yesterday. We played a bunch of games. I actually grabbed them just to quickly show you. We played some Worms, which is fun.
Oh,
Yeah, I know
man.
you love your Worms.
I love Worms.
Again, FIFA. We did some everybody's golf, which is heaps of fun. It's like an RPG golf game, so that was really cool.
You got
And
all
then
these
we
games,
played
and
tennis, which was pretty boring to be honest.
you got all these games, but you just play the most common ass game.
My buddy's a big sport fan, so
Yeah.
we were going
Oh, yeah.
game each, and there's not many 2-player games out there.
Yeah, I
Picking
guess you're
games
right.
that you can play that are local 2-player. So,
I'd
Will,
say
we are at episode number 62. Who have we got on
yes.
tonight?
Tonight, I forgot to ask how to properly pronounce his last name, but tonight is Kyle Desjardin. Desjardin? Desjardin? I don't know. We'll ask him when he goes on. I often bitch about all the sharks in the water out here in my town and how I can never find anything. And well, this is the biggest shark in the water. The biggest shark's fin. So bring him on out, Kyle. There he is.
Guys,
Hey, what's up, Kyle? How you doing this evening?
I'm doing well.
How do you pronounce it?
Desjardins. So just like it's spelled.
Desjardins? It's not some fancy
Desjardins.
French name.
If you say it in French, it is Desjardins. If you say it in French,
I'm
yeah.
going to use that one. It sounds so much more, so much sexier. Desjardins.
Yeah, it sounds fancy. Like you could charge somebody more for it, but not so much.
Love it.
So, Kyle, we everybody, you carry a bit of a reputation, but one thing few people know about, or anybody ever talks about, is your collection. Now, what do you collect for mainly? What is your when you're going out finding stuff? Because I know you bring in lots of lots. I'm sure you pick and choose. What do you bring? What do you collect for the most?
Honestly, now it's super, super selective. For a long time, I was just grabbing any and everything I could, going after full sets and just excess just to be able to say, I had thousands of this or thousands of that. And really now it just boils down to if it's either got like some type of sentimental or emotional connection piece, like with me from childhood or something I really enjoyed playing, when I was younger, or a lot of times like I'll get stuff in, like in collections and buyouts, and I'll be like, oh, this looks interesting. I've never played it. So I'll set it aside, and maybe give it a look when I've got some downtime. And then if it's something that I really enjoyed, I might add that to the collection. And if it wasn't, then I just, end up selling it later on, which is one thing that's really nice about, doing this is I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of different things come across the table. And so if there is something I'm after or something I'm looking for, chances are, I can get it in within a relatively decent time frame. And so I'm not searching too hard, but there's a few things that I've definitely had to, seek out like intentionally. But for the most part, it's just kind of a trial and error, because a lot of the things that I want, like stuff that, like I said, mattered to me once upon a time, I already have. But it's just, a handful of games from a handful of consoles. It's nothing too elaborate or crazy anymore like it used to be.
What is your console of choice?
Lately, it's been PC. I haven't really been playing too much as of late, but when I was most recently, it's been on the computer.
Oh, you said you touched on you were collecting some full sets. What full sets did you go for back in the day?
Had a full set of Nintendo 64, loose cartridge, not complete in box. That was too much of an undertaking at the time that I didn't have a bankroll for. And then I was well underway on a complete GameCube set. I think I was at I don't know, maybe 400-ish titles, all Black Label, complete in box there. And those are the only two full sets that I was going for at the time. And then I just had a bunch of other things from different consoles that I wanted to hang on to. But those are the only two full sets that I was actively trying to complete.
Nice, man. You just lose motivation in it, or change your goals, or what happened?
So a couple of things, I realized there was a point that kind of came up and I was just like, man, I'm not enjoying having all of this stuff any longer. It was the seeking and the finding and the hunting that really brought me the joy that, I really loved. And looking around, all that stuff was just taking up asinine amounts of real estate. And at the time I was living in a small 2-bedroom apartment. I didn't have the room for the stuff. A lot of it was ending up in totes in the garage and just stashed away. And it's well, if I can't even look at this stuff, I can't enjoy it. I'm not playing 99.9% of it. Why do I have it? And so, after kind of coming to that realization, I took a few days to really think about it. And I was I just need to purge everything that doesn't truly actually mean something, or, something that I really want to play, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, Figsy, correct me if I'm wrong, but Figsy's in a weird state because he's got a complete PS3 set, correct?
Yep. And then thousands of games on other systems that I'm getting to the point where they just sit on the wall and I'm falling less and less attached to them. So I'm considering selling off 2,000-3,000 games from the collection.
Yeah, it stacks up quick.
And especially I'll have the same game on PS2, on PS3, on PS4, on the Switch, and it's just why you got 4 versions? I probably got 10 versions of Tomb Raider, and it goes on like that. So I'd like to get a curated collection eventually.
So Kyle,
that's what I found.
Go ahead. As I asked you before the show, because we wanted to plug your Mercari, we wanted to plug your eBay, but you're totally off of those platforms. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I don't do either any longer. I had a Mercari years back before the selling fees caught up to eBay. I just, I work on tight margins a lot to begin with, and the thought of handing over another 10-15% to a third party entity just doesn't make sense to me. Direct to consumer is definitely the way to go. It's a smaller audience, working strictly through Facebook and Instagram, but it's a lot more personal. It doesn't take away the percentages. Like I said, on their fees, people know, if there's an issue, they can contact me directly. There's no middleman, which is what I prefer.
Yeah, I'm sure. So when you go to make a post, a sales post, how many different Facebooks are you posting up in?
Contingent on what it is. if it's just like a generalized, lot of things for sale, probably posting in 20, 25 groups on there. Some of the groups obviously are console specific, so I can't post like a generalized lot of different things into certain groups. I have to then take that lot, break it into like smaller pieces, so then I can post it in the game specific or console specific groups, and then on my Instagram as well. But yeah, I'd say generally between 20, 25 different groups.
Yeah, Dave, yeah. I always whenever we have a podcast, I like spam, and I think a dozen groups, and that's a pain in the ass. So I can imagine doing 25, pressing that cross post button. Biggest question probably everyone wants to know: where do you find your stuff?
And I've told this to people before, there's definitely no crazy secrets, no crazy tricks, no time machines, as rumors have floated for a while now. It's just really come from networking and building relationships, which is another big piece of the non eBay, non Mercari type format. I've done this for some years now, and I've met a ton of people across, all over the country, other countries, primarily outside of the US, Canada, Mexico, but even people across the pond, Europe. I mean, it's just one of those things now where it's become like I don't want to say they just like kind of knock on my door, but I do get reached out to a lot with people saying, hey, I'm contemplating selling my collection, or hey, a friend of mine is, thinking about selling off his. And people know who I am and what I do, and so a lot of the times, just that word of mouth piece, if I don't know the person directly, has been enough to land a lot of great deals and buys throughout the years. And I can't stress that enough. It's just meeting people and building those types of relationships have done more for me with this business than anything else.
So how long have you been reselling full time for?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
How long have you been reselling full time for?
So as my full time, like 100% all in, it's been 3.5, maybe 4 years. Probably, obviously a little longer. It was more of like a side gig, prior to that, before deciding to go all in on it. But I'd say for sure, yeah, about 3.5 years as my everyday, career, if you will. And then a little over 3 years now with the, the LLC and taxes, accountant, doing everything by the book and making sure it's all on the up and up for the IRS and banking and everything that comes along with that, running a business.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because they are watching. They are watching and listening. They want that.
I pay a lot of money in taxes, so you guys can go watch a different video.
So do you still get the joy? Do you still get the so warm the cockles when you find a big stash? Or?
I do, honestly. And there's been times where obviously it's just been like a kind of whatever, but I think like a big part of it is, closing the deal. And then, like I said, most of the time, it's shipped. There's not a lot of stuff locally anymore for sizable collections. So a lot of times, I'm buying out collections or lots from, all around the country. So we'll come to terms, things will get shipped out, they arrive, and like, checking my phone, the tracking, saying, okay, like this is going to be here today. Like this is going to be arriving whatever time this afternoon. And then, getting everything and unpacking it and, laying it out to, showcase for Instagram and the Facebook groups, and then seeing a response from like the community and like the excitement that brings other people as well. It all kind of ties together now. And it's a really good feeling, like still to like know that I sourced this, if you will, I guess, because it's not so much like stumbling upon it at a garage sale, but like knowing that I'm finding these things and, they're going to go to someone's collection for a year, 10 years, 100 years, who knows? And so it feels good to just like still get those things here and arrive. I'm just not stumbling upon them anymore. Like, oh, I found this great offer up buy or, whatever it is on Marketplace anymore. It's more so of like the excitement of it showing up at my door.
Yeah, I still, anytime I get something new, I run to Facebook. I still get a social media buzz just from putting it out there. Look what I
Yeah.
got. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I was going to
Easy. Why
ask.
didn't you like my post?
You're supposed to bab my back at this shit, Figsy. Go up there and promote the damn team. Supposed to let me win these goddamn quizzes too, but I guess.
Hey, Carl, I think it's really interesting. I do full time reselling as well, but I do it completely differently. 95% of mine's done on eBay. I'd love to get you to talk us through like a average day for you, what it's like.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Average day looks like waking up, and because, like I said, I do business. I mean, globally at this point, I mean, I may be waking up to a multitude of messages inquiring about stuff that I have posted, listed, people looking for detailed photos or, a better description of said piece, whatever that might be. So trying to get those responded to as soon as I can. I've got a young little one here as well. So, I mean, my day is kind of, intermixed with working off of my phone and then also, dad duties as they call. But just, yeah, like I said, that's the initial, like, okay, wake up, check. What do I need to get caught up on? Is there stuff that's sold I need to pack? Is there stuff that I need to respond to, get pictures of, whatever that might be? And then, how long has it been since I've refreshed my sales post? Has, half the stuff listed sold already? Do I need to remove that stuff and make a new post, so it's back towards the top of people's feeds and kind of getting caught up on stuff like that, making sure everything's good to go, getting stuff ready for post office, UPS, FedEx, whatever, trip I need to make in regards to who I'm shipping through for the stuff that I have here that's ready to go out. Making sure that I'm, always constantly stocked up on, shipping materials, all kinds of, all the boxes, bubble wrap, everything that comes along with that, cleaning supplies, Q-tips, rubbing alcohol, making sure I always have everything I need in case, anything calls for that. And then, depending on where I'm at as far as inventory goes, hey, am I getting low on stuff? Do I need to start, kind of searching, see if there's, some more stuff that I can acquire, or am I pretty stocked up right now and I'm good for a bit? So, I mean, it varies a bit, but it's still pretty routine, I guess, too. At the end of the day, there's nothing generally too crazy. And then obviously if new stuff is coming in, okay, that's arriving. I need to pull this out, get pictures posted, get interest generated, and then, start going through the testing and the cleaning processes, making sure that these are, ready to be listed before they can be shipped out. And there's hiccups along the way. Stuff happens. I mean, you always are going to encounter, problems to whatever extent at some point, something got damaged here. Maybe this is no longer working or whatever. But I always make sure to try to like resolve those, in-house. People know if there's a problem, they can reach out to me. And so there's no issues with that. I mean, I expect the people to get what they're paying for. And so, if something got damaged, something no longer working, broke, whatever that might look like, then we get it taken care of. And that's a big, like, important thing to me. And I mean, you've never really seen, my name come up, on any platform in a negative way in regards to, oh, he sold me this broken piece of shit or, whatever it might be, because
DK Oldies, this guy.
yeah, like, yeah, I make sure that people are taken care of because, I mean, money's not easy to come by in a lot of respects. Maybe someone's saving up for this $50 game or this $100 game or whatever it might be. And they're, expecting a certain product to arrive at their house. And I mean, if there's an issue, I'm going to cover the return shipping. You send it back to me, full refund, no questions asked within a reasonable time. I mean, if you message me a year after, I mean, this is a different conversation, but I mean, if there's a problem, people know they can.
30-day return policy, and it's exactly the same.
Yeah, because I mean, there's limits to everything. Obviously, I mean, if you've had it for whatever length of time, I mean, you could have broke it, you could have damaged it. I mean, but if something shows up at your door and there's an issue, like obviously, we're going to take care of it or within a reasonable, amount of time. But so yeah, I mean, that's the general the general playthrough of what's happening on any given day. Obviously, the busier days are the days that inventory arrives, because then I've got to work in processing that, in between maybe making dinner, whatever's going on. And then,
So you don't offer like, pay me an extra $5, you get a GameStop guarantee for 30 days. Bring that shit back.
I just have it out of the gates. I make sure that I stand by everything. And, there's been times where I've screwed up, I've made mistakes, or, I wasn't able to test something as thoroughly as it needed to be, or, like just stuff when you're dealing with very large volume, stuff's going to happen. And I'm a one-man band. Like, I don't have an assistant. I don't have employees. My oldest son is not of an age where he can really be, viable help in regards to doing anything. And so, stuff's going to happen, but it's the cost of doing business. You make it right and you retain a customer, for another purchase down the road, possibly.
You ever running anybody trying to get one over on you? Any shysters out there? Any horror stories?
It happens. I'm pretty well versed in all of this, by now. And I know, like, the stuff that I'm shipping out 99% of the time is good to go. There's been some times where some things have come up and I was pretty sure it was somebody just trying to, get over on me. But at the end of the day, I also couldn't prove that it wasn't what they were saying. And so it's kind of one of those, like, situations like, all right, well, I'll just eat this loss and make it right. And if it was them scamming me, then, whatever, good for you. You got one over on me. But I've got a very substantial block list on Facebook, very, very long. I don't like to deal with people who I feel are, like, dishonest or not, forthcoming in regards to, like, what's actually happening. Hell, even people that I don't deal with directly, if I see someone talking a certain way or doing certain things on somebody else's post or comments, just like, I don't want to be involved with that in any way, shape, or form. And so I try to stay ahead of it and just remove them from the equation so I don't ever end up in a similar situation.
Okay. Anyone who's trying to find you after the show and they can't, that's probably why.
Hey,
you've got me blocked.
Wait a minute. I that's funny. I don't recall seeing a Kyle post in 10 years. What the hell?
Yeah. It's because my block list has like 750 people on it.
Jesus.
Well, our days actually sound very, very similar. Like, priority is first thing I do when I wake up is you reply to those PMs, customer service, and then you get the mail out. And then inventory, listings, that all comes later in the day. So it's very similar. And it's like a routine. Like, every day is different, but every day is kind of the same. You're doing different things in the same way every day. Do you do, like, garage sales on the weekend or anything like that?
Not particularly, no. Here in Arizona, Will can attest to this because he lives but 25 minutes from me. It is 110 degrees for 6 months. Like, I'm not getting up at 3 a.m. to go try to be in a line of other people that are attempting to resell as well, that are there 2 hours before the garage sale opens because they saw one little GameCube spine on a bookshelf mixed in with 20 DVDs. Like, there's no way. There's no way.
This is the word. I've tried to get up before, it's been about probably about 6 months is the last time I actually made an active attempt to go hunting at garage sales. And it's just, you show up, you're driving around at 6:30 and there's, like you said, there's already a line of people out front waiting. It's just these, it's just
too much.
Yeah. It's annoying. It's kind of gross, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not gonna get in there and elbow, so I can get don't get me wrong. I see all sorts of success stories and all these YouTube videos, and it's like, damn, I wish, but then I remember, no, I don't wish so much. It's kind of, this is too much.
Well, you see those videos too of, like, people, like, breaking out in fist fights at garage sales over a tub of commons, and it's just like, why would you ever be in a situation like that? Like I said, I got a family, a wife. Like, I do not want to be in a position to where I could potentially get stabbed over a Mario Kart. Like, it's not that important. Like, I don't
died
know.
trying to save Mario.
Yeah. You know, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, when I first started doing this, I mean, not so much garage sales, but I mean, you know, obviously scouring OfferUp and Marketplace because I was
Yeah.
sourcing everything locally when I first started. But I mean, back then I didn't have a choice. You know, I didn't have that selectiveness. I couldn't really pass up any kind of opportunity or deal, you know, even if it was just to make $20 and put some gas in my tank so I could do it again tomorrow, you know, because that's how it really was early on. You know, I this almost failed a multitude of times because for a while there, I mean, I definitely was not even able to pay bills with selling games, you know, let alone be picky or selective or anything like that. I mean, I'd be driving from where I lived at the time, you know, hour, 2 hours away just to make, you know, $40, $50 and, you know, keep it pushing again till, like I said, the next day, because that's just how it was. And then obviously as years have gone by, things have changed drastically. But I mean, I don't knock the garage sale thing or the local scouring because there's definitely deals to be found. I am not trying to pursue that anymore if it's avoidable, especially with a family. I mean, I'm either going to be dragging along a toddler or I'm going to be dumping him on my wife to go and hit garage sales all day on a Saturday. And like, it's just not, it's not worth it. The amount of time you're spending to try to hopefully find something that even makes it worth it is just, it's just not there anymore. It's too competitive.
Yeah,
It's crazy because over here, like I can sleep in and wake up at 8 o'clock, and I'll be the first person at the garage sales. We do have that population that gets there early, but it's an older population here that will sell at the markets, and they're looking for like antiques, different things like that, and they all compete with each other. But I'll go to garage sales, and they'll be like, "You're young. What are you doing at a garage sale?" I get that once a weekend. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I ask
yeah.
for things that they're like, "Oh, no one's asked me for this stuff." Yeah, let me go and get the video games out and the
Now that
DVDs and Blu-rays, and we got some cards too. And
the heyday of hunting in the wild is certainly come and gone. Well, it has for me anyway. I
Yeah.
mean, I used to, you know, twice, 3 times a week, and I'd be going somewhere, knocking, usually from Facebook and whatnot, and I really never had much luck at garage sales or the flea market for that matter. Our flea market sucks ass anyway.
Yeah. It does.
And yeah, too many people price fucking out there, and you make an offer, and then someone else comes up behind you, offers them $5 more, and these unscrupulous bastards. He's like, "Oh, I'll take that."
Yeah.
We had a deal. Yeah, I hate
Especially
it.
when you're like halfway to wherever you're going to do it, and then they just ghost you or don't show up, or oh, somebody offered X amount more. It's like, dude, back in the day when I was barely scraping by. I mean, thank God for my wife and her, working a solid 9 to 5, full time job, because she really got us through there for a while. But like, dude, I'm already broke. Like, I can't be wasting $15 in gas driving out here just for it to fall through. And then I got to turn around empty handed. I wasted time and money. Like, I'm in a worse position than I was an hour ago because now I just, wasted a quarter tank of gas driving out to West Phoenix or wherever I went. And it was just like, this is not the way to do it.
that's interesting you bring that up. I had a situation similar this week. It was a big lot of Doctor Who DVDs on Facebook, and the lady titled it as 70 DVDs for $100, and then the photos got 20. So I messaged her, and she's like, "Yeah, there's more." I'm like, "Can I have a look?" She's like, "You can come and have a look at them." It's like all the way on the other side of town.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Nah, I'll just pass on this one. If she wants to send me some photos, then I might get interested. But if she's not going to do that, then they're probably in crappy condition, not looked after, doesn't care about them."
Yeah.
Things.
What's the furthest you ever gone for a lot, Kyle?
Um, I mean, I've had a lot of out of state pickups. I mean, here in state, probably, I don't know, 7, 8 hours round trip.
Where were you going?
Like
Grand
way
Canyon?
down south of Tucson, almost to the border of Mexico. And that's like, so we're talking, a couple hours there, a couple hours back, and probably, an hour or two spent on site, actually, going through everything, checking everything out. That's probably the furthest here, and then I've done a bunch of stuff. I mean, California, multiple trips to Texas, Colorado. I've had neighboring states. I mean, well, other than Texas. Texas doesn't border us, but I mean, multiple day excursions for collections.
Do you drive there and back, or do you fly there, rent a car, and come back?
So my very first like big out of state deal was actually that the one where you had come over after I got back with it, and that was in Houston, Texas. And so after factoring all of the the numbers and everything like that, the best way to do that trip was I flew to Houston and then rented a U-Haul truck and drove that back, loaded up with everything. And then all of the other times that I've gone out of state, they've all been me driving there and then driving back. Because I mean, Southern California, for instance, is a half day's drive, 6-7 hours, ballpark, contingent on like where I'm going in Southern California. So it's not worth it to fly out there and U-Haul back. Costs more. But the Houston trip at the time was better off, because I had to have the U-Haul. I couldn't just drive my truck. It wouldn't have fit everything. And so had I rented a U-Haul and drove it out there and then drove it back, it would have cost thousands more. So it was just flying out and coming back was a lot easier and cheaper.
I remember that lot. I went so I can get first dibs.
Yep.
What the hell did I take home with me? I believe it was Odin Sphere on PS4, and had a little steel. It was part of the
limited edition, like collector's one, wasn't it?
Yeah, the storybook collection. But yeah, it only had that like. It was weird. It was like it wasn't a steel
metal back. Yeah, it's a weird.
It was like a steel sleeve, open on the long end. I don't know. I love that thing. And I was taking pictures and I was taking videos. I was like taking videos. You're like, yeah, I'd rather not show people what I got here. And
yeah, you got to be careful.
Have you been jacked before? Have you ever had
I've been in some very questionable situations. I mean, knock on wood, I've never had, a gun or something like pulled on me. I've never, but there's been some instances where I was like, all right, I just need to like leave. This is not going to end well. I need to go. And then just, kind of dropped everything and just headed out and left it that. I've been very fortunate in that regard, but there was definitely some times where I knew, and you kind of have a feeling, like, you're in a place you probably shouldn't be, but like, especially way back when I was like, man, like, I need to make some money. I'm broke. Like, you're a little bit more inclined to take more risks. And that's the times that you ended up in situations that you should definitely not be in. And so anytime anything kind of felt off or you start getting that spider sense, tingling, I just walked away from it.
No, I've made some sketchy quests in the early days. Yeah. It was worth it. Here's what you do. Carry a rape whistle. Yeah, number one, it freaks them out. Number one, you just start blowing, like the whistle your coach used to carry.
Yeah,
just blow it. You got it. It'll buy you about 10 seconds, and that's enough time to get the fuck out of the
exactly.
We're saving lives out here, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Carl, on this show, we've got a few different segments, and one of those segments is a video game quiz. It's time to play Figsy's quiz.
It's time for America's favorite game show, Figsy Quiz, where we put the minds of the world's greatest video game collectors to the test. And now, the host of our show, Figsy!
Yeah. Carl, as you're our guest today, would you like to go first or would you like to go second?
I'll go second so I can kind of see what to expect.
All right, sounds good. So the way this is going to work is there are 8 questions. Once again, Pavel has done our questions, so thanks, Pavel. Each question is going to be worth 1 point. Will's going to start. If Will gets the question incorrect, Kyle, you'll have the chance to steal for a point. And then second question, you'll start, and Will will have the chance to steal if you get it incorrect. Now, if there is a tie at the end, we do have a tiebreaker question. So let's get into it, guys. Question number 1. This one is for Will.
Okay.
Who was the first PlayStation mascot in North America? Was it
No,
Crash Bandicoot, Papa the Rapper, Sackboy, or Polygon Man?
I'm gonna say Polygon Man.
The answer was Polygon Man.
I remember that ugly thing.
I've honestly never seen it before, so
Really?
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't remember
yeah.
that one.
You can see why it didn't stick.
Maybe it wasn't a power mascot. I'm not too sure. Will takes the first point. All right, question 2, Carl. This one's for you. What color variation does not exist for the N64 console?
Oh,
Aqua
Jungle
blue.
green. The answer is aqua blue. Nailed
we
it.
were just talking about this before the show. Fantastic Ice Blue. Oh, so Ice Blue is the name. Okay, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Question number 3. Will, this one's for you.
All right,
Anson Tiger's GameCube was released to commemorate the first place in what sport?
baseball.
It is baseball. You guys are nailing it tonight.
That's one of the coolest variants of GameCube.
You ever got one?
I have. I had a complete in box one earlier this year. It didn't have the jersey, unfortunately, but
Oh,
everything else was there.
Nice.
oh
That's
shit.
awesome. All right, Carl, this one's for you. This syndrome occurs when people devote so much time and attention to an activity that it becomes patterned to their thoughts, mental images, and dreams. It's taken its name from a popular video game.
You said it's a syndrome?
It's a syndrome.
Ooh.
I think I have a guess. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure there.
Pick a game, Kyle. Something addictive.
Um, I honestly wouldn't even know where to start on that one.
I'll hand this one over to Will.
Is it World of Warcraft syndrome?
That was a good guess, but it wasn't. I like where you're thinking there. So it's an old one. It's Tetris.
Tetris
Huh.
syndrome.
Tetris effect or Tetris syndrome.
Okay. I've never heard that ever.
I've never heard of it either.
It sounds familiar, but I haven't heard it used in context before.
I've heard of VD before.
So at the end of round 2, Will has a lead of 2 and Kyle is right behind on 1. Let's move into round 3. Well, this one's for you.
All right.
What kind of Pokemon does Abra evolve into after reaching level 16?
So it's Abra. Is it Kadabra?
Abracadabra. Kadabra is correct.
What is there a third one? Is there a third
And it
evolution?
turns into Alakazam.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't. Okay, well. All right.
All right, Kyle, this one's for you. Question number 6. What was the game title of the first Sly Cooper game for the PAL region on PS2?
Is that Devious Raccoonus?
That's the American one, but what's the PAL one?
Oh, man. I have no idea on that one, honestly. Not super well versed in PAL.
Well,
I don't know. Trash Panda.
no, the answer was Sly Raccoon.
Just well, the Trash Panda is a raccoon. Wait a minute. Fuck it.
All right, guys, at the end of round number 3, Will has a lead of 3. Kyle's behind on 1. However, anyone can still win this.
Abracadabra. Come on.
Now, the final round, I'm going to show you guys 3 photos, and you have to tell me what video game these photos are representing. So the first one is for you, Will. It's a PS3, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox 360 title.
All right, so I know the name of the game in the middle. Is that what I'm looking for? What's the question?
The question was, what game does these 3 pictures represent?
Is it? I mean, Is it zombies or is it The Walking Dead?
It's not The Walking Dead. I'm going to hand this one over to Kyle.
That's not The Walking Dead.
Kyle has no clue either. Um, man, I have no idea.
Want to pass on this one, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
So Pavel sent me this one. He asked if it was too hard, but I guessed it right away. So this was Red Dead Redemption. You got the red, the dead, and then the redemption at the end.
Okay, I see how it works now. Okay.
All right, Kyle, this one's for you. So this is a PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One game.
Man. I don't like these questions in this quiz.
You know, I feel on a weekly basis.
Man, I don't even know. Something. Power off, wash hands. I have to pass again. I'm messing up bad.
You want a shot at this one?
Yeah, could you remove the graphic?
Yeah.
Is it Power Wash Simulator?
It is Power Wash Simulator. Will's got it.
Yeah, I got this last
I think
week.
Will wrote these questions.
No.
Usually Will loses, so.
This is rigged.
Okay, it's not usually. It's less than more than half I lose, but it's not usually.
You're doing well. I'm making you shine
win.
tonight.
Congratulations, Will. Another win. Well, the guests are on a big streak, so Will's finally taking one back.
There you go.
Thank you for losing that.
Thanks for playing, guys. This has been Figsy's Quiz.
You know, it's funny. Earlier, you were talking about your block list on Facebook, and there's a bit of this is a funny story. There's a bit of drama on the Game Junkies yesterday. I guess some admin in some other group, he was charging people to make sales posts on his group.
Anyway, auction posts, I believe it was.
Auction post. Oh, okay. Is that a thing? I've never seen an auction. Well, I've seen the what do they call that? The wheels, the waffles and whatnot. But
raffles, yeah,
waffles. No, but it was. I thought it was funny because it was just everybody loves drama. They're eating it up. Blah, 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 blah. It's like 100 comments in this thing, and here's you right in the middle of it all. Fucking sales post. While I have you all here, I was gonna take the advantage and post plug this show but I guess they shut off commenting before I had the chance. I was like, damn. I don't know. I just thought it was humorous. I wanted to share.
I used to go into raffles like 10 years ago on Facebook. I never won one, so I feel like they're all scams.
I've entered 2 and I've always lost. A friend of mine, Clayton, he was about 10 minutes that way. He's always winning them. But I guess he just plays the
friends with the guy who's running them. You got to check that out.
You just got to tip the guy a little better. You get one.
So, you're going to Game On Expo's coming up soon here. You say you're gonna be a vendor there? This is your first
yeah. That's coming up second weekend of August. That's here in Phoenix, and this will be my first time setting up as a vendor there. I've been going for years as just an attendee, and this will be my first time setting up as a vendor.
How much do they charge you to set up shop there, or is there
after fees, whatever tax? I think it was $850, $860, something like that for a 10x10 corner booth. There's a multitude of options. All the way down to like a garage sale table, basically, not a booth, just like a 8-foot table for much less. And then there's like middle booths, the ones in between the corner slots, and then corner slots, and then there's way more extravagant ones than that, much larger. They scale in price.
So you got yourself a prime real estate corner booth?
Hopefully so. I won't know exactly where it's located until the day of, I believe, but for sure, a corner somewhere within the convention center.
So
No, it
so
sounds exciting, man. I hope you do well.
is it just you setting up, or is your girl helping you out?
So her and my oldest will be, popping in periodically. I don't, expect them to be there for 3 full days, obviously. My oldest is 9, and so I mean, they'll definitely want to check out the convention and maybe relieve me for going to get some food or, restroom or some nicotine or something like that. But um as far as like they're the full time, strictly me, and then obviously, I'll have friends and stuff and people I know that'll be, coming and going and helping out with it. But um
Yeah, don't
as it
ask me.
sits, mainly me just for the full 3 days, and then whatever help I can get from additional people that I know that'll be there in attendance.
Yeah, don't ask me to help. I'll rob you blind.
Come
So,
back,
Will, are you going
yeah.
to be there as well?
I'm still on the fence. I told you if I can get hooked up with the journalist pass, because we are serious journalists here on the PlayStation Collectors podcast, and I've already told my girlfriend she's gonna be the camera person. I might. I don't know.
So if you go
Maybe,
see Will, make sure you run up to him and ask him for an autograph.
yeah, no,
Just can't let him next to my booth. He's going to clear me out. I'll think I sold everything while I was taking a piss, and turns out Will's loading up a truck.
oh man, I'll have I'm
We're going to have
bringing
some
a
awesome pickups on the show next week, Figsy.
because I watch a lot of these YouTubers, and they like wait till the last day so they can get all the best deals, because a lot of these vendors don't want to take the shit home with them. I guess you got that advantage. Screw you, no deals for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I'm gonna take this home stuff home anyway. Are you taking trade-ins, or is it just cash money?
I mean, obviously, it's kind of contingent on just playing it by ear and seeing what happens. I mean, I'm not opposed to trades, especially when they're in person and both parties can see exactly what it is that they're receiving or giving, and it could be handled then and there. And a lot of times you'll have like, higher end pieces or something, on the rarer side, or a little bit more unique or more of like a niche market for it, where trades are actually more beneficial to move a piece. I can exchange said thing for something that, sells a lot easier, or a few somethings that sell a lot easier than this, high end, whatever it might be. And so sometimes trades are super beneficial because, you have that option to acquire something that you can sell in a day or two, as opposed to something you might have to hold on to for a month to find that right person for.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a really good point, Carl. I've got some friends that they don't sell themselves, but they want to sell their games and they don't want to get ripped off. So we just have a trade agreement, and they wait until they see games that they want to play pop up on my store, and they show me what they want to sell. And if it's the case that I can sell the item quicker than what I'm going to sell it for, even if it's
Yeah,
the same money amount, I'll take the deal, because money today is better than money in a month, always.
exactly. And people
I'm,
forget that too. I mean, like, people sit on stuff for so long sometimes, and it's like, dude, like, you just have all this money tied up in this piece or these, all this stuff. It's like, for what? Sell it, get back to even, or even lose a couple of bucks and make it back on the next deal. You just got this money tied up for absolutely nothing. You're not making anything off of it. You're better on just to move to the next thing and
Yeah, I
keep
think you need to
going.
have that attitude when you're selling retail full time. Otherwise, you'll get stuck behind with inventory that's not moving. Like, I'll much rather sell everything I've got today for 70% than wait 2 years and sell it all for 100%.
Exactly. Yeah,
'Cause
exactly. And I mean,
I can use that money tomorrow and buy new stuff, and then
yep.
sell that for even more, and it's a cycle.
And sometimes, like I said, you got to take a loss on sometimes, on some things. Like, it's been sitting for months, it's not moving. I got to discount this to a point where it will move, or, wholesale a bunch of stuff off together and recoup what I can from it. And then just put that towards something else, because collecting dust on the shelf is not helping me in any way.
you
You're
remember our
100% right. I love the attitude. Well, we
you
got a
remember
comment here for you.
what's that?
Mark said, please film it. We love that type of shit here.
Oh, oh, going to yeah. We'll see. We'll
Get that
see.
press pass.
Yeah, I'm gonna. We'll see. I gotta apply for it. Because I don't want to do a panel. I was talking to the guys over at the Game Deflators podcast. They were talking about doing a panel. So, yeah, I mean, I toyed with the idea, but I don't know. I couldn't sit up there. I mean, doing this here in the comfort of my
It's the same
bedroom.
thing.
It's not the
Bring a
same
beer
thing.
along, it'll be exactly the
No,
same.
he
We'll be
was
like, "I
talking.
gotta take a piss, guys." And I'll be like, "It's the same thing."
It's the same.
John was telling me they're vicious. You say one wrong thing, you crap on Mario too hard, and they'll fight you in the parking lot. So I don't know. I don't know. Remember, our mutual friend Ryan. He hit me up. I guess he's flirting with the game again. He's like, "Hey, do you got this?" And it was Trails of Cold Steel 1, the big box. I guess he had a bunch of Sega stuff that he couldn't move, so he decided to, just like you said, trade it for something that's easier to move. And he's hitting me up, and I was like, "Well, how much do you want for it?" I already got one, but my box is a little fucked. But no, he never got back to me with the price. I told him to check out the show. So if he's watching, hey Ryan, get out of here. We got enough people in this town, dude.
Slacking.
So give us a taste, Kyle. What do you take into the show? Anything to get the panties wet out there? Any prizes that you take into the show to sell?
And so when tickets went on sale for the booth back, I believe January, I told myself it's going to be a lot easier to start setting stuff aside now, in increments, small chunks leading up to the show, as opposed to just hoping that I have some godly collection fall in my lap the week prior to and taking all of that with me. This way I could ensure that I had hand selected, near mint plus pieces, all cleaned and in beautiful shape and across a vast array of different consoles. I didn't want to just have, strictly Nintendo or Sega or PlayStation. I wanted to make sure, I had stuff, across the board and tried to hit as many of the boxes as I could for the various different collectors or, whoever shops that'll be there. And quite a lot has been amassed in the 6 months I've been stashing stuff for.
No pieces. No pieces in particular you want to tease us with?
Every single horror title that you can think of for PS2 is in there. All the Silent Hills, the Resident Evils, the big ones. Kuon and Rule of Rose and Obscure. A bunch of like high-end RPGs on PS1. The stuff that everybody's always looking for. I mean, you can never go wrong with PlayStation RPGs of any caliber. A lot of the high-end Nintendo stuff as well. Sega, taking some consoles, some limited edition stuff, some things you don't see too often. I don't want to give away too much for it,
man.
but
I'm trying to pry it out of you, but no, I could take a hint.
yeah, it's definitely going to be, it's good. Like I said, it's going to be my first time vending at a convention, and I want to make sure that I'm really, setting the bar not only for myself, but just, for what's to come for, my business and, hopefully future conventions, moving forward after this one.
Nice.
Yeah, well, it should give you a good idea if it's worth doing, if the cost price outlays the traffic and everything you get, and
Yeah.
things like that.
It was a lot of upfront costs, stuff that you don't really think about. And, like not even just the inventory. I mean, obviously I've got, a lot of money tied up in that right now on hold until the convention, but then, the booth cost and, I had to get a hotel out there because I live, a decent ways away from Phoenix and the convention center. I'm not about to work a 12-hour day at a convention and then drive an hour plus home just to sleep for a few hours and turn around and do it, again the next day, and display cases and banners and just all these things. It adds up when you don't have any of it to begin with. There's a lot of upfront costs, but moving forward, a lot of those things obviously I wouldn't have to purchase again, so that would make the next one a lot better. But this first time, I got a pretty good chunk of change invested in it to make sure that I do it right. So I'm trying not to skimp or half-ass anything and really go above and beyond.
But it definitely sounds like it's something that you can do, because I got friends that they resell full time. They don't do eBay. They don't do majority local. It's all done at conventions, and they'll go to conventions every 2 weeks and travel across the country.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously there's a market for it, and
Oh yeah.
Certain people will only buy their games if they see them in person. They don't like buying their games on Facebook or on eBay. They want to,
And
they
it
want to.
definitely helps, like doing
Yeah,
what we do, because then like Will said, like it's not a big deal. If something doesn't sell there, then Sunday when the convention's over, I come home, I'll just post it online. I don't have to try to sell out of everything or cut crazy deals to move inventory just so I don't have to pack it up, and bring it back home with me, because it's no different.
If this is
yeah.
if this is a resounding success for you, we think you might consider going out of state to do it.
I would definitely like to. I mean, obviously it would have to do pretty well, and then obviously out of state conventions are going to come with a lot more, upfront cost with travel and all of those things. Fortunately, there's a couple local. Southern California has the SoCal Expo, which actually just
Which
took
was just
place.
bought by the Pixel Game Squad, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and so I mean that one's pretty close, half day drive. That wouldn't be too terrible. We're not talking like cross country. Las Vegas has Level Up or One Up convention, I believe it's called, which is also relatively close. So I mean, yeah, seeing how it goes, and seeing what kind of things happen, and how well I do on the financial aspect. I mean, that's definitely something I would love to look into. Logistically, like I said, obviously a lot harder because it's further out. Then you got to plan, travel leading up to and coming back, and how much, gas and hotel. And if it's
Yeah.
really far out, then you're talking, multiple days of travel on each end of the convention. And so it would have to obviously, make sense from a financial standpoint, but, that would definitely be something that I would love to do in the future, assuming that this goes well and this, starts to become a regular thing.
Gentlemen, you'll excuse me for a quick minute. I gotta hop to. I'll be right back.
When Will gets back, we'll get into some of his memes. Hey Carl, you were mentioning before that you do a lot of like collection buyouts and stuff. When you do that, have you got a set like price chart price that percentage that you like to pay, or is it based on different collections or their pricing, or how do you go about doing that?
So it's really different every single time. I'm basing it off of, the contents of the collection, the completeness, the condition, a lot of different factors. And so really, I mean, every buy is different, because every collection is different. And so I've really got to take, an in-depth look at what's really there. I mean, how much is lower end, mid-level, high end. I mean, obviously, if it's a very curated high end collection of just, expensive stuff, that's a totally different price point than a collection of a bunch of, lower end filler mixed with a few decent things. And so it really varies drastically from purchase to purchase, based on like who I'm buying from, what's in there. But there's money to be made at every tier. Obviously, if you can get filler for cheap enough, there's money to be made there. It's a little harder to move, obviously, but if it's cheap enough, like there's something you can do with it, mid level, high level. And so there's no real like flat percentage, there's no flat fee or rate or whatever, just because nothing's ever the same from day to day when you're buying something.
Yep, no, that's right. It's interesting. It's like so like if people reached out to you with really rare stuff that you could get rid of really quickly, you definitely pay up for it.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to, because I mean, I'm not buying from the random, 60-year-old woman whose kids went off to college and she's just unloading stuff that's been sitting in a closet. I'm 99% of the time buying from collectors or shop owners, or, whatever it may be. They know what they have. They know what it's worth. They're not, going to take 50% on high end, heavy, expensive games. And I would never offer that because it's insulting. Like, everyone that thinks in order to do this, you have to get every single deal at 40%, 50%, to make it viable. And it's not the truth at all. You can pay good money for good stuff and make money. And both parties are happy, and you're not screwing somebody over. You're making what you need to. And especially when you're dealing in, in large volumes and big collections, I mean, yeah, maybe you're not making 30, 40%, but I mean, when you're buying collections that are, 5, 6 figures, if you're making, even 10%, 15%, whatever, I mean, on substantial amounts, if your turnover rate is good enough, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
And people
definitely.
forget that. They're like, no, I got to get at 50%. It's like, well, dude, good luck. Cause like people don't sell quality stuff for half price unless they have no clue what they have. And that's not collectors. They know what they have.
On top of video games, do you sell anything else, or have you sold anything else in the past?
I've dabbled in a few things. I mean, I've tried, there was a time I bought a video game collection and the guy had like 300 brand new sealed Lego sets that I ended up picking up. And I love Lego. I have a multitude of sets in my office on display, but um, video games are the only thing that I feel comfortable enough to seek out. I mean, the Lego thing just kind of happened to fall in my lap and it just, was what it was. But I'm not well enough versed in toys or comics or vinyl or trading
Card.
card, stuff. Like I don't have enough knowledge to do anything with that other than get myself in trouble. And so I generally, try to avoid it. There's a few things I've got a little bit of knowledge of, and if I know it's something that's a solid deal or with some research, I can check it out. But I'm definitely not out here seeking out collections of action figures or anything like that because I just don't know enough about them, and I don't want to spend the time trying to learn about something prior to making a purchase and then screwing myself over because this robot was supposed to have this arm instead of this arm and it's worth $2 instead of 2 million or what. I don't.
You ripped me off because you didn't tell me this part that you didn't know existed.
Yeah, exactly. This thing's missing this little rocket launcher thing, and now instead of worth 6 figures, it's worth 9 cents. Like I just know. um I try to stay away from it because I just don't know enough.
No,
Do you,
I get that.
do you fuck with any local shops? Do you need deals like consignment deals with local shops or trade in local shops?
I do periodically. It just kind of depends. I Certain shops, they're just not necessarily, if they're buying, it's obviously, at shop rates, and shops
Yeah.
have a totally different level of overhead, than I do. So a lot of the local shops, there's just not necessarily anything that can be done there because I get it. They've got a totally different, like I said, laundry list of things they've got to pay for. I'm not dealing with payroll and rent and insurance and security and all these other things that come along with a brick and mortar. And so I'm in a spot where I can pay more for things because I don't have that overhead, but shops do. And so like I don't fault them for it. They do what they got to do to keep the doors open and their employees paid. But most of the time there's just really not something that can be worked with the local shops. And then consignment, it's like it's just not even worth the time, honestly.
I heard that.
Well, I
Yeah.
think doing what you do can also build good relationships because if you are offering more money for higher end items to big collectors, and they've probably
Yeah,
got big collections at home that they might be looking at selling one day, and if they're not someone who resells, they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to go to my local shop because they're going to offer me half price when I can go to
yeah,
Kyle and he's going to give me a fair price.
yeah. And I definitely would never, like intentionally take business away from, a shop owner, obviously, especially locally here, because I do know all of the owners and, there are great people, and minus Fallout. I fucking hate them. Don't ever go to Fallout games, any location. Don't do it.
I want a video at Fallout games now. Well,
Oh, I've gone in there a couple times to take pictures. I don't know. You've expressed your distaste for Fallout games before. What it sounds like there's a story there, Kyle.
Oh, there's always a story. There's always a story. I used to frequent Fallout games all the time. I mean, they've got 4 locations here in the Valley. Again, don't go to any, but they have 4 locations. And I lived in Tempe for a long time, and Tempe, there's one of their locations. It was literally 3-4 minutes up the street from me, and
Yeah,
I used to go in there all the time, and it was great. great friends with, you know, the employees in there, and even, you know, some of the employees at their other locations that I'd travel to, you know, periodically when I had the time. And, you know, and I was always, at the time, I was looking to finish my N64 set. So I'd make my rounds to all the different shops and, you know, see if they had any N64 games that I didn't have. And, you know, I was always in there, and I'd bring stuff from, you know, doing my side hustle, you know, offer up
Yeah.
marketplace, and I'd bring them stuff and sell them or get store credit or whatever. And like one day I went into their, it was their Paradise Valley location, to, you know, so just see what they had. My friend Matt at the time worked there. I went in and I was walking through the door, and like Matt like met me at the door and was like, I need to talk to you. And like outside of the shop, he was like, dude, the owner doesn't want you in here anymore. You know, you resell on the side, and he doesn't want anything to do with that. And so he's banned you from all 4 of these stores.
Wow.
And for the life of me, I could not wrap my head around how that made any sense. Because first and foremost, I'm bringing, you know, leftover quality stuff to them for a great price. You know, they're doing it. You know, I'm buying stuff for my own personal collection from their shops at whatever their asking price was, or with store credit if I had it, you know, or whatever. It wasn't like I was buying stuff from them and then turning around and selling it. Like, who pays full retail to try to flip, you know, something? But I mean, even if I had, like, I paid whatever you were asking for it. What I
Yeah, I
do
mean,
with it
you're paying for
afterwards is not your business. But like, yeah, because I like, and this was when I barely sold anything on the side. Like, it was like a joke, you know, maybe $500 worth of stuff a month if I was lucky. And like, I was banned from their locations for being a reseller.
Oh man.
So he can kiss my ass.
I seen a Phoenix resale video where he walked into a shop and like the employee said, "We can't sell to you because you're a reseller."
Good. Fuck that
The
guy.
most awkward transaction, and it ended up turning into a good story where the owner contacted him and apologized on behalf of them. Blah blah blah. But like
Nah,
It just
people,
doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like, dude, I was in here all the time supporting your business, great friends with your employees. And like, I mean, I could tell like the dude Matt that was telling me what was going on that day, like felt like really awful about it. Cause you know, that came from above him. And it was just like, dude, what? Like, okay, well, do whatever you do.
yeah, it's weird that the owners will do that. Like I've had experiences from employees that are like weird to sell me things at pawn shops because they know I'm a reseller. But I'm great friends with all the owners, and
Yeah,
never have
exactly.
any weird transactions with the owners. And
Big
we
Z.
talk about sales that we're doing between us, and they ask me how I'm going, and vice versa. And you know, and
Yeah,
that's a relationship that you build. And
exactly. And that's how it is at every other local game shop here, man. Like all of it. I mean, that was the only one because there was 4 locations where the owner wasn't on site at any specific one every day. But I mean, if you go into the gaming zone, you go into One Up, you go into, you know, Game Smash, like the owners are there, like they're right there. Like, you talk to them, you build those relationships, you know, there's no problems, and like you get to be great friends. You sit around and bullshit for 2 hours, like whether you bought something or not, you're just talking. And then
yeah,
that happened, and I was like, okay, well,
I gotta say, One Up is probably my favorite local shop. Second would be House of the Used.
oh, that's
Well,
right. House of Use is good too.
well, they were good until I got the new kid who tried to gouge me, and
Yeah.
I boycotted him for a year and a half. Speaking,
Mark just corrected me on something. It wasn't Phoenix resale. It was Chastar for the right price. That's right.
oh, he's the one who got.
And they went in as like the 3 of them, and they got told that you can't. We're
Yeah,
not
like
going to sell it to you because you're resellers. It was like
I've
the
spent
most.
so much money here. Like, I'm one of your better customers because I was going crazy when I was doing that loose N64 set the first time, dude. I was, you know, if it was a game I didn't have and it was there and it was clean, I was buying it. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it was a competition thing, but it's like, dude, you own 4 retail shops. I'm this like peon of a reseller who's barely putting gas in my tank. Like, what? There's no threat there. Like, what is your issue? Like, I
The
don't.
only thing that like I would expect from game shops to do is be like, all right, we're not going to give you a discount because we know you're a reseller, and that's
Yeah.
completely
Okay.
understandable.
Totally cool.
I'll pay what you want,
Yeah.
and there shouldn't be, you know, any like
Yeah. And I mean, nobody's going to game stores to buy inventory to flip, like with a few exceptions.
Unless you're
Like,
Phoenix Reeser.
yeah, like now there's times where I'll go to shops, and I'll talk to them, and maybe they've got some high end, expensive stuff that may not be great for a local shop because that's definitely a lot harder to move. And so, I'll see if I can put some stuff like that together and buy that, but otherwise, I mean, buying $20, $30 N64 cards to try to flip when that's their full amount or higher because, shops have a markup. Like, I don't know. That just left a bad taste in my mouth. I haven't been into a Fallout store in many years because of that. Obviously, I'm not allowed in there, but even if I had been unbanned, I would never go back.
And they would have lost thousands of your dollars, and
Yeah.
that's their loss. And they're also, you're going to express your opinion, so that's their reputation.
Yep.
That
I tell everybody I can. I do because can't stand them.
Last time I went to Fallout, your face was right there next to the register and a little piece of paper. Do not sell to this man.
Was it really?
No, dude.
Oh, dude, because that would have been so much cooler. Like if he took it to that level, like framed me and put me on the wall or something. That would be sweet. I would like that.
Great advertisement. Hey guys, I think it's time for meme time as well.
Oh, it's meme time. Let's headphone warning.
It's gonna get loud. I'm gonna back up. Whoa.
I don't know. It tickles me every time I hear
that.
It
Was terrifying.
Oh well. At least you're awake. All right. So what do we got? What do we got, Joe? Oh yes, Bong Hero. You've probably seen all these memes in the Game Junkies group already. That's one
most likely.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places to steal memes from. But yeah, this is hilarious. It's rated up W for weed, I guess.
It has to be.
What else we got there back there, Joe? Don't do it, Mega Man. Yeah, I might. What else we got back there, Joe? I guess you'll want to come in. What's wrong? Oh yeah, like you don't know. You're gonna have hardware failure. Oh, when is we spoke real briefly about the Xbox 360? You never think it's gonna get collectible? You ever think it's gonna hit its stride?
Be able to go Wii, PS3, 3DS, DS, the 360 with that system that every game bar like 100 you can get on other systems.
Xbox as a whole is just not. I don't know. I don't think it's ever just going to drastically shoot up or anything. There's a very select few games on each of the Xbox consoles that hold value and have retained it through the years. But I mean, the original Xbox library is what? 800 games. There's like 10 worth more than $50. I mean, there's just
original Xbox library is quite collectible compared to the other Xbox systems. But how many people?
Yeah,
out there
more. Yeah, for sure, more so than the others.
Like I know one person doing a full Xbox that would even have 1,000 Xbox One games. I know a dozen people that have that.
Never.
Like there's 1,000 PS4 games.
Some of my favorite games of all time are on the Xbox. Like, I'm not going to act like it's not a great console, but it just doesn't have, like, the libraries don't hold up to those of their, counterparts over at Sony or at Nintendo or Sega or whatever. They just don't.
For me, it's the stigma. It's the monster drinking, drywall punching guys named Kyle stigma. It goes hand in hand with the Xbox 360, and I just because of that I can't get on board. Sorry.
It's okay. I'll cry after the show.
I'm sure you've heard that a million times.
What else we got back there? Run, Bambi! Stop running. Is that Zelda? Is this a Zelda meme?
Yeah, that's Zelda.
Oh man. Is that from the new game? I don't know. I haven't played the new.
No, that was the uncut version of Bambi.
How to get animals.
That was director's cut Bambi.
I didn't know this. All right, so what is this? Conquer and Paper Mario are expensive, but I can afford them. And then PS1 RPG prices, and then of course Saturn prices. Is Saturn the top most expensive out there now? As far as
Neo
Um,
Geo, AES,
yeah, that's always been expensive.
but that's I almost don't even count that because it's so astronomically expensive.
Turbo
Um,
Graphics is up there.
yeah, TurboGrafx, like complete TurboGrafx is definitely higher than Saturn.
I believe Virtual Boy 20 games is going to cost you close to 20 grand.
It's not too bad, but yeah, I mean, it is a small library, which makes it a little bit more bearable. But yeah, considering it's not a ton of games, it's definitely a decent chunk of change. But I'd say, yeah, Neo, TurboGrafx, Saturn probably falls in like number three, maybe. Yeah, probably number three for most expensive
The
libraries.
3DO is extremely expensive. The system alone
Yeah,
is like $2,000.
One thing,
it's definitely up there.
I from what I've heard, I don't know much about this syndrome, but disc rot, I guess, is it's a big thing with the Sega CD base games. I've who knows if PlayStation's next. PS1 should be disc rotting here soon if it does at all.
Hopefully not.
Console wars now. Your exclusive is coming out for PC. No. Console wars then. If you play Nintendo, you suck. I will kill your family. But
They didn't play around back then. The world was a tougher place.
It's sad but true. It was a tough.
Yeah. People could take jokes a lot better once upon a time.
My first custom ship in Starfield. It's a penis rocket for you viewers at home.
It's like the one from
It's
Austin Powers.
It's exactly the one from Awesome.
Yeah.
Good eye, man. What else we got? Me. Every time my PS4 updates, update complete, copying 1%. Yeah, it is a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. This is an old one, man. Call of Duty Warzone. I am the hard drive now. Fortunately, is Warzone the one? Is that the big center where the disc is basically just a key, and it's like 100?
That's one of them. I know one of the Call of Duties is it can't be put on the Xbox Series S because it's bigger than 500 gigs.
What else we got? Why is she so pretty? This is unrealistic standards. This is sexist. Dude looks badass. Wish I looked like him. Video gaming today. 7-year-old me looking at my controller after the game tutorial said,
Dude.
Press L3, R3.
Been there.
Where are they? God. I remember that.
God, couldn't figure that out forever.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is in this week's installment of Meme Time. Boop, 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 boop. Hey,
I was in the kitchen. I could hear
it. You can't see the comments, can you? So you got to press the button.
Yeah, because it's on my phone, so I'd have to click. Yeah.
Josh would like to say a few words. Kyle, big fan of your post. Softest carpets on Facebook. Curious, do you think your wife was first attracted to your charming personality or your neck tattoos? And Charmin, Cottonelle, or 20s?
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure what my wife was attracted to when I met her. Like, didn't have the carpet then. It wasn't that. So I don't know, man. I didn't have a whole lot going for me.
I'm sorry, I couldn't do your neck tattoos justice on the.
That's okay.
The thumbnail. Yeah, the thumbnail's got you clean skin. I've seen people complaining that they didn't have the tattoos on one of the Facebook groups.
Yeah, I think the Simpsons avatars look good. Neck tat or not, it don't matter.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna bring up the Machine Gun Kelly. Anyway.
That's a good one, Will. That's a good one,
dude. Everybody, we haven't heard that one in how long has it been? Come on,
I don't know. Last time I spoke to you, probably.
Not me, dude. I didn't
become the dad joke.
No, it's fine.
Around.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. That was a little wrong. Anyway, let's segue here on the PlayStation Collectors Podcast. We like to assign our guests homework. We of course do the homework as well. This week's homework was biggest and best flips. So we were. It's pretty much story time. So I'm going to talk about flips we've had and the stories behind them. Figsy, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. No, I've got a few, but I'm going to try and tell a story that I haven't. I think I've told this on the podcast before, but it was like back when we first started, so it should be should be a fresh story for most of the viewers. I have this on YouTube too, so you may have seen the YouTube video, but would have been 2 years ago now. I was at a garage sale and I was late to the garage sale, and it was huge. It was probably 200 people that have already been through before I got there, and it was just this guy who buys storage containers, and he had it was like 30 tarps set up with just stock everywhere, and I got cheap video games, and I called up my mates, and I'm like, get down here, and as I've already bought and stuff, I walk back in. These books have caught my eye, and I don't really buy books, but they had Wizards of the Coast on them, and I'm like, oh, Wizards of the Coast, and like, I looked at them, they're all Dungeon and Dragons. I'm like, oh, sweet. I'm like to the guy, how much for these books? And he's like, oh, look, mate, there's been 200 people through here, so you can take all of them for $20. I'm like, all right, sweet. He's like, you just go through and find them all. Okay, fast forward an hour, I found 91 hardcover D&D books for $20. They're all from the 90s and like the late 80s. And anyway, if you fast forward like 6 months, I probably got about $4.5 grand for them all on eBay.
Oh, wow.
It was a $20 into $4.5 grand. Not much work. I got them all listed in one night. Yeah, it was good.
Good time.
Dude, that's a buy right there.
And most of the people that bought them bought 4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really good.
Older D&D stuff that you're probably not finding on a regular basis. That's
all hardcover, so it was all
yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I used to play D&D back in the day, and then girls. You know how it goes.
Dude, I want to play now. I've actually been talking to like a friend of mine. Like it's been something I've always wanted to try and never have had the opportunity to. And like I need to at some point.
It's getting big again. Like, there's online D&D and stuff these days that people do. So.
I tried an online. I tried getting. I tried about a year ago. I tried getting online, playing online with a couple of friends, and I just couldn't. I couldn't keep up. I had to bail out. It's just too much. The rules have all changed. Too much to remember.
Yeah.
I just like drawing. Conan type guys. Stabbing things. Like any other preteen kid.
If nothing else, I just want to go to like somebody's like basement or living room or whatever and like sit in on a game and just kind of like see what it, to kind of like experience it at least, secondhand, if nothing else. Cause I have no clue, like other than what I've read or seen or videos, like I've never been. So it'd be cool just to like sit in on a session for, X amount of hours and just kind of watch it transpire.
I have watched things like that on Twitch and it's really cool. So
yeah.
Definitely worth checking out.
Well,
what about you? What's your biggest ever flip?
My biggest pickup, I've said it on the show before, and because I can't think of anything else, it was the old man who answered the door wearing nothing but an open robe, and I got to see his old man balls, but it was worth it for the
part, Will reckon.
Yeah, it's it's the best part of the story. So, but $5 games for even back then for what were $40 and $50 games. I got like the whole Suikoden set was in there. God, I can't remember. It was RPG heavy, and everything was in beautiful shape. And you know how we do. We take what we need for the collection, and then we just flip the rest. And it was just a good old time. And bottom dollar prices. I'll look at wrinkly balls for fucking $5 RPGs. Who wouldn't? I'll effect. Is that a sound effect or was that your phone, Kyle?
It wasn't my end.
We'll just level it up.
But no, man. Yeah, it is what it is. But it's a funny story, and I got a good deal. I got to keep a lot of the games, and the rest. I believe I sold on Mercari and amongst Facebook groups. I prefer selling on Facebook groups. I've been lucky, but I've only been gouged on Mercari once. But it is what it is. What about you, Kyle? What's your best pickup flip story?
It's a little bit longer of a story, but it's definitely worth the listen. This was 2020 BC, before COVID. It was local, and I was on OfferUp late at night. I don't know, and somebody had posted some complete in box Super Nintendo games and some quality titles. Nothing like super crazy, but a bunch of like really good mid-level, like $200-300 complete in box like Super Nintendo games for a price that didn't seem like it was real. Like it wasn't like $10, but it also wasn't anything remotely close to what they were worth. So I reached out, messaged them, hey, is this available? If so, I'll take it. And it's like 10 o'clock at night. And the person was like, yeah, but I probably can't meet till tomorrow. I knew if I waited till tomorrow, there's no way in hell that those were going to be available. And so a little more convincing. I was like, hey, if we can meet tonight, I can throw, some extra on top. Tomorrow I'm busy, or whatever excuse I made up to try to persuade them to meet that evening. And we ended up meeting at like 11:30 in the parking lot of a Walmart.
Oh my God.
And I pull up, and it's this kid, like, and his mom is driving.
Oh man.
Dude, and he's like 14, maybe 15, I don't know. Young. He wasn't driving, put it that way. Like, he got driven there. And like in a shoe box or a small box was all these complete in box Super Nintendo games, exactly like the post, in the condition that they were, and paid the price that we agreed upon. And the stereotypical, like, hey, do you have anything else gaming wise that you're looking to sell? And he's like, I've got more things that I'm looking to sell than I can even tell you. Like, it's an obscene amount of stuff. And I was like, well, here, take my number. And, you hear that a lot, like, oh, yeah, I got tons of other stuff, and I'll get a hold of you, and blah, blah, blah. And then nothing. They fall off the face of the planet. And so I gave him my cell number. I was like, look, this is easier than conversating through OfferUp. Like, if you really do, let me know. I'm very interested. And so I go home, super pumped about these Super Nintendo games. And this was, back while business for me was still relatively small. I wasn't selling on Facebook, or really it was a little bit of Mercari and local. And anyways, like the next day, this dude texts me and was like, hey man, we met last night, blah, blah, blah. I've got, some more stuff if you want to check it out. And this dude starts sending me pictures of stuff. And I'm just like, there's no fucking way. Like, there's no way that this teenage kid can't drive a car, prepubescent dude has this like collection. There's no possible way. And he's like, hey, I got this tote full of stuff right here. I'm looking for, whatever it is. And it was like 5%, 10% maybe of like retail value, just pennies on the dollar. He was like, you interested? I'm like, yes, I sure am. Like, let's meet up. And I bought that. And it was, I don't know what the second time was, but like, to make a long story short, this guy texted me every single day for 2 months with 1 to 3 or 4 or 5 totes worth of video games or video game accessories, consoles, every console you can think of, from Atari to current gen, for prices that do not exist anywhere. I mean, I remember buying what had to have been, like, just the GameCube stuff alone was probably 50% of the entire library, probably 350 complete in box mint GameCube games for like $100 a tote. Like, I mean, I'm talking, $1 a game, $2 a game. And at the time, I didn't have a lot of capital. I was like literally meeting this dude in the morning, busting my ass to sell as much as I could before the next day to try to get enough money together to buy whatever the hell he was going to message me with the very next day. And after, like I said, a couple of months, like, he apparently ran out of this honey hole.
Oh man.
And it was asinine. And I mean, we're talking the collective value of this collection before COVID spiked and skyrocketed everything. It had to be 6 figures, like right at that, like 100K, 150K mark back then, before everything was crazy. That same collection during COVID would have probably been 300 grand. But I was selling it off so quickly to keep buying it that I couldn't sit on anything because he was going to hit me up the next day and I wouldn't have had the money to buy anything, and he would have listed it and sold it to somebody else.
Yeah,
but dude, here's the kicker. Come to find out, like months later, after all the dust settled and I had bought this whole collection minus a few things, that this was a divorce gone sour. And it was a woman scorned situation where dad did something wrong and the divorce went sideways, and mom had the son sell off this guy's gaming collection that went back 30, 40 years. And like I had, obviously, but I never met this dude at his house. Because it was a kid, like I didn't feel comfortable like going over and meeting a teenager like at their home. So I never was able to like grasp what was going on. I never like had any conception of like what the hell was happening. I was just like, all right, this kid's liquidating whatever collection for somebody, but didn't have any inclination that it was his dad's, and it was like on the word of his mom to just sell this stuff. And the kid, which made no sense to me because as a teenager, you're pretty well versed on how to use the internet. Like you didn't look up any of it. So it's like, I felt bad after, but all the damage had been done. It was all gone.
He's getting hundreds of dollars every day. That's a lot of money to a kid,
Yeah. And he was selling it. Like his mom was like, look, we're going to get you a car. Like, so like the money, after it was all said and done, after the couple of months, like he got a car leading up to like being, 16 or whatever. And, I paid their asking price, obviously, without any haggling the whole duration of the couple of months without asking too many questions. But yeah, I ended up being one of those situations that.
Well, that's like the dream. The dream scenario,
except for dad.
Yeah, I feel so bad for that guy.
Yeah, dude. Like but like a big part of that is like what propelled my business, like in a sense, to like where it is now, because that gave me a lot of capital to like start buying larger collections and getting caught up on bills and whatever, things that were going sideways, debt, whatever back then, because I didn't have a lot of cash. And so, I wasn't going to bite the hand that feeds me. If you're going to bring me stuff for pennies on the dollar, I'm not going to turn you away. It's not my fault that you didn't look it up. It's not my fault that your dad and mom didn't work out, like whatever your situation or story is. Like,
well, if anything, Kyle, I'd be glad that it wasn't stolen stuff.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Like I was, and so, but there was no way it could have even been stolen unless this kid was doing home invasions at 14. I mean, I don't even know like how it could have been. But yeah, when he told me that first night, I was like, there's a garage full of stuff. I'm like, okay, everybody's got a garage full of video games. Like, but this kid really did. And I bought it all. And
it started. Kid doesn't grow up to be a game collector.
Dude, he got a car out of it. I mean, so at the end of the day, I mean,
you could have got a house, man.
Yeah. I mean, dude, a sizable down payment with no private mortgage insurance.
You got a house to my game collection? No, I got that cheap car out the front.
Yeah, that Honda Accord looking real good. It's like 30 miles to the gallon. But
no shit, it helped you level up your business. So that's right.
Yeah, and it helped me get back on track. Like I said, with the finances, with everything, because like I wasn't doing super well then, and it really kickstarted what then this has grown to over the years. And so I mean, I don't regret it, at all. But like knowing what I know now, and like it's one of those things where it's like it sucks, but again, it doesn't fall on me.
Because if you didn't buy it, the next person would have bought it.
Exactly.
The next person would have done the exact same thing. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
You would have done the same thing. Anyone listening would have done the same thing. You didn't do anything.
Especially when you're in a tight spot. Like there's like, dude, call me tomorrow, please.
And the fact that his mum was there too sort of gives you the he's not doing the wrong thing because his mum approves of it. So
that was half the battle with this, was like getting his mom to like give him rides to like meet up with me. Because like I wasn't going to his house. I wouldn't have felt comfortable like doing that. And so it was just like, hey, we got to meet wherever. And he's like, all right, well, let me get a hold of my mom. Let me see if she's available or free during this time or whatever.
That's the craziest pickup I think I've ever
Dude,
encountered.
it was insane, and it was nonstop. Like I had totes stacked up in my living room of my little 1,000 square foot apartment. Like there was no space in there because it was just so much stuff, and I couldn't even move it quick enough to like offset what was coming in every 24 hours. It was insanity. I've got
Oh, that's
pictures
awesome.
somewhere that I will send to Will, and you guys can put them in the comments or whatever, just to show some of the caliber of stuff that was in there because it was just ridiculous.
This story's a lot better than mine, and you didn't
Right.
have
Hey,
didn't have
dude,
any balls in
old
it.
man wrinkly balls. It holds a special place. Like,
Old man wrinkle balls versus divorced minor. I don't know. No, but
But that's the thing. Every good pickup has a good story attached to it.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Guys, you gotta excuse me. I've been just drinking water left and right. I gotta pee again. I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds.
Will over here,
Well,
just so
yeah,
unprofessional.
it's part of the show. People take bets on when they think Will's going to go to the bathroom first.
He's gotten up twice.
Hey, Carl, you talking about the sales that you do on Instagram and Facebook. Do you do international as well as just domestic?
I do, yeah. I mean, I try to stick to domestic when possible, just because the shipping costs are less, the PayPal fees are less. But I tell people because they inquire about it a lot. Hey, are you willing to ship to wherever? And I mean, if you're covering the shipping costs or at least the shipping difference, between what it is to send it domestic or international, then that's fine with me because it's no different on my end. I'm not doing really any additional work other than filling in a couple more lines on the shipping website that I use. So it's not much more, but I'm not gonna sell something. If I have it listed for $100 shipped within the US, I can't honor that to
Yeah.
wherever else because shipping's going to be 4 times as much. PayPal International takes a higher percentage than they do for domestic PayPal. Like I can't do that. So if I have the shipping price factored into that $100 game or whatever, then I'll subtract that from whatever the shipping cost is to Mexico or to Canada or whatever. If I allocated $5 for shipping domestically and shipping to wherever your country is 25, I'm only going to charge you the 20, more. I'm not going to charge you the full amount because I've already, part of that was already factored in. But yeah, if
And
the
people
buyer's willing
knowing
to,
see that too, so they'll be like, "Oh, well, this guy didn't rip me off."
yeah,
I know if he's
exactly.
got
And
good
so,
stuff, I'm going to get a fair deal.
dude, I'll ship it to Mars if you're paying for it. I don't care. Like it's no different on my end. Like I said, a couple additional lines on the computer to fill out, or maybe a country code, or whatever. They're a little bit more specific, obviously, when it's crossing an international border, but it's all the same to me.
I think it's a really good attitude to have because when you don't do that, and there's a lot of people that do, you're just completely eliminating,
Yeah,
you know,
the rest of the
196
world.
countries. So it's like I sold something this week to Iceland, and I sold something to Oman. Like, how often do you send to these obscure countries? And people who
Yeah,
live in these countries know that they
yeah,
have to pay more for shipping, so they're going to pay more because they're used to that. So it's
yeah,
like you said,
exactly.
you're
And
just filling out a custom form, and that's the only difference.
yeah. Now, if you're doing that in person at the post office or where, that's a little bit more work because then you're filling out like multiple pages, via a pen. But on the computer, it's nothing. It's
Copy
literally
paste, copy
my
paste.
biggest problem I have with international shipping is like making sure that I have the address exactly like how it's supposed to be with like the correct information filled in because like addresses are different all over the world. And so when you're used to seeing like America addresses every single day all day long, and then you get an address that's words that you can't pronounce and all these other, you want to make sure every I is dotted and T is crossed. So I always make sure to confirm with them because I don't want to send it to the wrong place, and they're not the standard US addresses that I'm used to looking at every day. So I have to make sure that it's what it's supposed to be. But other than that, it's really not a big deal if you're doing it on the computer.
That's quite interesting, the addresses, because I don't know about America, but in Australia, our postal system's called Australia Post. They won't accept characters that aren't in English. So, for
Okay.
example, I sell a lot to China, and People in China use their Chinese address, but
Yeah,
I have to message them and ask, "Hey, can you please translate your address into English for me?" And
yeah,
like majority of them know their address in English and know their address in Chinese for this reason.
yeah. That excuse me. The yeah, it's and some of them are like really extensive too.
Yeah,
Like they
apartment
don't even
one,
fit on the
building
line.
one, like 30 different things.
This is
India's the
yeah. How do you
same.
have
India's
a
got
six
similar.
paragraph address? Like I don't know. But we clarify it, and it works out. It's no problem. And I mean, in a lot of countries it's really straightforward too. I'm not saying every place is like that, but there's definitely some ones I need clarification on, and I'll make sure to ask like the questions like, okay, is this, like this number is the zip, it's not the house number. It's like, like what this is the postal code and not whatever else. And just to make sure.
I'd almost argue that my international buyers are much easier to deal with than the domestic buyers because I am posting out on a daily basis. They get things pretty quickly, and it's like, oh, I got this from Australia, and I got here in 2 weeks. That was
Yeah.
impressive, and different things like that. I think I've only ever had one return that was international, and even that went really smoothly. So
Yeah. Returns international can definitely be a different ballpark, different situation. Because, like I was saying earlier, if there's something wrong and it's my fault or something didn't show up like it's planned, I'm going to cover that return shipping. I'm going to make sure you get refunded. Now, if that return shipping was, $50 because it was going to wherever as opposed to $10 because I shipped it to Texas or something, it's a much larger loss on my
yeah,
end, like from a business standpoint. But I'm not going to not deal with international customers just because something goes wrong once in a blue moon.
I actually have my policy. So eBay allowed this. They domestically, I have returns accepted. They're all free. I pay for them, but international returns, the buyer has to pay. I'll still give them a full refund. But the only thing is they have to pay to have it returned.
Yeah, that's good. And that's one other thing I was like, I don't do a lot of consoles because it's just not, it doesn't make sense. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine having to eat the shipping cost of sending a console internationally. And then, it could be $100 shipping cost on top of whatever I'm refunding for the thing itself. It's just, there's no way.
And that's
I
a
try
good
to,
point. Like I have a limit. It's 5 kilos. So over here we have up to 5 kilos at a certain rate. So I spent a good 6 hours researching what the best prices are for every region, and then I've set policies up. So once I click that button, every country automatically has the prices that I'm going to receive once I pay for it. But if an
yeah,
item's over 5 kilos, then it's basically a ballpark. So I don't do consoles overseas unless it's like a 3DS or a handheld
yeah,
console or
something
something like that.
small.
The only thing I've ever shipped overseas, I actually got it from you recently, Kyle. It was that uh, best of PlayStation Network Volume One.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I picked it up for a guy and Jamie. He's over in England and he's been looking for that thing forever. And no, I didn't charge him any more than you charged me. So I didn't. In hindsight, I should have. No,
It doesn't
make,
matter to me, man. I've had that conversation with people before, and like if you buy something for me or somebody, like you own it, set it on fire, sell it for $10 million. Like, I got what I needed to get from it. It's yours. You own it. Do whatever you do. Because people think like you get upset if someone's buying something from you to flip it, or it's just like, why would that upset me? Like
it upset Fallout Games.
well, yeah, that's because their owner's a bitch. But other than that, pardon the language, but
No, yeah. As long as
call them like you see them.
As long as you don't cuss in the first 10 minutes of the show, we're good. I got us
come out swinging.
Last week, Will got out with the second word. Fucking.
Now that we're comfortable.
And YouTube are like, demonetized.
Yeah.
Hey, I pulled some pictures from some of our old conversations. You also sent some sent some items from your collection. Joe,
I pulled a couple too, since you had asked about that.
Joe, can you show us some of the? Oh yes, this was from your trip to. I believe it was one of your trips to Texas.
That was actually a trip to California. Those actually belonged to a guy named Joe who runs he ran like a video game museum that would travel around to the different conventions throughout the country, showcasing super rare, beautiful, awesome pieces that you just don't see ever. And those were a couple of the items that he had there that I was fortunate enough to get to see in person, because that's not stuff you normally see ever.
No. I mean, I've seen a few pictures, very few pictures of people who've had the NBA Elite, but never the console.
Yeah, and he had two of them.
And those
There's a few of those different consoles, but I believe they're all unique, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not super knowledgeable about him, other than what he had told me, and it's been a few years since I was there. I was buying a bunch of other stuff, and I was fortunate that he pulled out a lot of like the museum pieces for me to get to take a look at, and he was telling me a little backstory on each of them. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were custom made for each player that was showcased or used in the game, or something along those lines. So I believe they're all unique.
So those are the team colors then. So
Yeah, I thought it was one per school got them or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I,
wrong.
I can't
It's
remember.
one
I'd have
per
to look
club.
it up.
well, I guess that the purple one must have come from those are Phoenix or Phoenix Suns colors, aren't they?
Or maybe the Lakers.
I don't know enough about basketball to be
But
honest.
yeah, I don't know.
What else we got back there, Joe? Oh yes, Element.
Man,
This
I've
is
been
this.
trying to buy that thing from him ever since I saw that. I was trying to buy it. Was at Game On last year. He was set up at the Whatnot booth, and I was still trying to buy that thing. Ah.
Is it Elemental Gear Bolt? Is this a press kit?
The Assassin's Case, I can't remember all the details of its release and what it was for, but I want to say there was 50 total made, ballpark, 40 with the gold memory card, which you see there above the game itself. And then I think 10 of them had a red memory card. It's just the coolest looking thing ever. Like, I mean,
The
it's,
briefcase with the
dude,
number.
yeah, the metal briefcase, suitcase, you just open it up and it's got the gun con and the game with the most badass cover art, holograph. It's just beautiful. I love that thing.
What else we got back there, Joe?
Oh, there's a couple of pieces from my collection there.
What's the
That
story? What's the story
that fanny
with that
pack was actually from Ryan,
from Ryan?
Mr. Mickelson.
Oh, Ryan Mickelson. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's one of the other guys. He got out of it for a minute. I think I bought a vacuum cleaner from him at one point. I don't know what the hell. But what's the story with oh, there we go. On to the next
That there actually I purchased from a local shop here, the Gaming Zone, their Gilbert location. They were custom made by an associate or a friend or something of the owners there. And it's actually like a shadow box. It's a Funko Pop in the top right there. So that frame is actually like 3 inches deep with like the cover art and then the little placard and then the Funko Pop. I just thought it was a super cool piece. I got that hanging up in here.
You a big Halo fan?
Love Halo. Love Halo. At least old Halo. I don't know about so much now. I haven't played it in years, but it'll always be in my top 10.
It sort of died, right?
Was it?
It sort of all went downhill after Halo 3.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
No, I never put much time into Halo. I put a lot of time Destiny. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, they got purple.
Oh, that's them opened. Yeah.
I love the wood finish too. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, dude, like they're just the top tier. Incredible.
The NBA,
now, like I said, I want to make sure it's noted that like those do not belong to me.
Yeah, it's just be able to bask in their presence.
Oh yeah, 100%. It was amazing to see those.
Oh, this is your Texas buy.
That was actually one of the walls in the gentleman's house that I purchased. You can see why a U-Haul was needed. That was just one wall.
Jeez.
That was some of the stuff me and Will were digging through in my garage at whatever time at night when I got back with it. And yeah, gosh, man, there was so much stuff there.
We got some graded games on deck.
Couple favorites. Man.
I still want to get a. Did you buy these graded, or did you send them off to be graded?
I purchased Fable and Mario Kart graded. Gauntlet and Halo 2 I sent in myself. They were acquired in the buy, and then I sent them off because those were games that.
Nice grade on the Gauntlet, 9.6.
What's that?
Said nice grade on the Gauntlet, 9.6.
Gauntlet's a super common one too, like sealed and graded, which is nice because it's in my top 10 games of all time for me. Like I've got some very like great memories with that game, like when I was younger, and it's nice that I can have a loose copy or a complete copy that doesn't cost hardly anything, can fire it up whenever I feel like, and then having like a display piece of something that really means a lot to me. I grew up playing that with my neighbor, and neither one of us owned a damn memory card for the N64. And so every single day we would play, and then we either had to like leave the N64 on all night till the next day, or turn it off and start all over again. It was, but just fun times, being young, and it was good.
Man, if so many people did the same thing with the PS1 when it first came
out. Dude, like
just leave it on all day.
Such a cheap fix just to get a memory card too, but that's also part of that Houston buy, just more shelves stacked to the brim with more stuff that ended up coming back here.
Is that a Mario telephone in the top right?
Yes, it was. It was. I should have kept that thing, dude. But at the time, I couldn't really justify keeping anything that wasn't worth keeping, and I just it was more of like a novelty than it was something I like needed. So I, had to move it on to the next place.
There's that teal blue N64 that was in the quiz.
Yeah. Some of the totes from when we got back from that, or when I got back from that trip, that's what me and Will were digging through. Yeah, that's one wall in my garage back then from that trip. And those are stacked 3 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's like 20 just black totes right there, and then more boxes, and I was like, it was nuts.
Did the totes come with the buy, or did you have to bring those on yourself?
So the morning I flew in, and then the next morning we drove over to Sam's Club or Costco and bought like 30 of those things, and we just kind of factored it in. I think we split it because they were necessary, obviously, for the return trip, so stuff wasn't all over the place, and I think we just kind of split the cost or whatever, and I think I paid for them and then took the other half off of what I was going to pay him, and then we came back to his place and packed up and loaded everything.
Man. Sounds like a pretty reasonable guy then.
Yeah, no, it was a great experience. It was really cool. Houston, man, it was horrendous, that humidity loading that truck in the middle of the afternoon, but whatever.
So would you say this was your biggest lot ever, single lot purchase?
No, it was the biggest at the time, and probably the biggest that I've bought in person. But since then, because like I said, that was back like 2020, I think. Since then, I've done larger purchases, not only in cost but volume as well. But they were shipped. They weren't they were just too far for it to be logistically possible to go and pick up without completely destroying any margin that was there. And so they were shipped in, as opposed to me going and getting them myself in person.
Ever get any of the Nintendo Grails come in and out of your hands, like the what is it, the sports stadium events? Thank you.
I've had a stadium events, but it was not something that just popped up in a collection or a random lot. I actually purchased it from somebody. I'm honestly not sure why. I mean, I think it was more so of to say I've had one at the time, because it's not, short of being an NES full set collector or just having the money where it doesn't matter. I can't really think of another reason to to own that game, but I purchased one 2021, I believe, and then I had it for a little while, and then I ended up doing like a partial cash trade deal, I believe it was. I don't know how long after I got it. It's actually still part of my profile picture on Instagram, just
I
because
was going to say that
it looks awesome. It's right next to a little Samson, which I also acquired that same week. So they're together in that profile picture. But yeah, that's not generally something that's popping up in a random lot or collection. I've had other opportunities to purchase, but it's too niche. It's too much money tied up into a single game that 99.9% of the collecting world does not care about, other than like, oh, that's cool, but no intent whatsoever to own one.
Well, like you're saying, it's nice to have had it before, had the photos. Like,
yeah,
Will likes to say sometimes, like, collecting's like fishing. Here's my catch, and then I let it go.
Exactly.
I've had catching. I've done with a couple games like El Chavo Kart. I think I saw one in. I think you got one coming up. I caught two of those in one purchase. Some gals had two of them. I got them in, took the pictures.
Double hook.
Yeah. Immediately out the door. And,
it's one of those random ones that, like, if you were just like looking through PS3 games, like, and you didn't know values, you wouldn't think, or even I'm pretty sure it's not cheap on the 360 either, but like, you wouldn't think that game was a triple digit game on the PS3. I think it's like $100, $120 or something like that currently, and you would never know. Like,
tell that to a PS3 collector.
Mine came in and out of my collection, I think, before, because when Sony threatened or said we're going to shut the PS3 store down, it was before that, and then after they everything shot up after that. And hopefully, fingers crossed for you, they shut her down before Game On Expo hits.
On El Chavo card, I actually bought my copy on Amazon through their retail stock before it sold out, because I was doing the full PS3 set back in 2016. I think I got it for like $40 or something.
Yeah, jeez.
But it did sell out at that price. Like, it didn't get down to $5 or $10 or anything.
Yeah, it's a lot of things you could have bought, should have, would have bought on Amazon. A lot of games. What was a lot of their exclusives I'm thinking about, but now I can't think of one comes to mind.
Yeah, most of them all got reprinted anyway.
Oh God, don't get me started on reprints. You're aware of the reprints, Kyle? The reprints in.
Oh yeah. There's always something going on in the gaming world that's stirring up problems. That's just like
shenanigans.
Dude, it's something all the time. And doing what I do, obviously, like, I've got to stay very Switzerland, very neutral in any kind of controversy. That's why I posted a sales post in the middle of a drama post, because, like, I can't be jumping in there with stupid shit. Like, you can't take sides. You can't be involved. Anything past what
you don't want to piss off a potential maybe future customer. You never know.
Well, yeah, dude, and I knew, going to the Junkies, well, I knew both people, like, involved, and I don't have any issues with either of them, and so, like, making some dumbass comment or doing anything other than exactly what I did, it was either a sales post or silence, and I just went with the sales post.
Trying to avoid all drama, like you said. You'll block people who make themselves out to be idiots online.
Yeah, you can just gotta stay away from.
You can avoid doing that. Just hey, Carl, before we end the show, one question that we usually ask, I guess: what are you playing at the moment?
Sorry, one more time.
What are you playing at the moment? What's in your console?
Most recently, I haven't for a bit, been on kind of a break from it, but most recently I was playing World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King Classic. They brought it back out because that was something that was released many years ago, and they brought back WoW Classic, and then the Burning Crusade expansion, and now the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. I haven't played for a bit, like I said, on a break, but that was the most recent thing I was playing on a very regular basis.
Nice. I played a few hours of it, but I didn't play WoW back in the day. So my friend tried to get me into it, and it's hard to get into WoW if you never into WoW.
It's a full-time commitment. But
I'm still
back
playing
then when it came out, I didn't have any commitments. You know, I was it was 04, I believe. So I was in high school. Like, what was I doing? Nothing.
There's a good meme going around. It's a TikTok, and it's like, I've got 500 hours in this game. I've got 1,000 hours in this game. And then they go to the guy who's got a big beard playing WoW, and he's like, I've been playing World of Warcraft for 18 years, and I've got 39,000 hours in the game.
Yeah, like 3.5 actual years of time played, like, or something. It's that's how it used to be. It's a lot more light now. But I mean, it still takes a lot of time and commitment to really be doing like end game stuff in there. But you know, back in 04, 05, those early years when everyone had garbage internet and didn't know what the hell they were doing, like you had to really put in, 40, 50 hours a week, no joke, to really like be doing anything worth mentioning in that game at end game level.
Yeah, well, Kyle, thanks for coming on, man. It was great. Hopefully, the nerves wore off.
They did. I was like, I'm sitting outside, like smoking a cigarette, waiting for this to start. And I'm just like, oh, thank God I know you, and we go back some years, because that definitely, helped things. Because if this was two random strangers, bro, I probably wouldn't have done it. The nerves would have got me.
If anyone wants to reach out to you and possibly buy some stuff, where would they find you?
So pretty much any collector group on Facebook for the most part. And if not, you can find my Instagram, which is where I showcase 99% of all of my pickups and buys. And that is at retro_nostalgia_AZ.
I'll link that below, guys. So be sure to check out Kyle's Instagram. Some awesome stuff on there.
And if you forget and you want to get in touch with me, I'll buy it from Kyle, and then I'll upsell it to you. So don't.
There you go. See, that's all it takes. And then you turn into one of us.
If you want to go through the middleman, Will's your guy.
Yeah, hit up Will. Give him his cut.
All right. Well, so from me, Kyle, and Figsy. Good night, everybody.